Salam people, I hope you guys are having an amazing day. Today we're going to kickstart back Ride with Hami. So it's going to be quite an interesting day today because I'll be meeting this awesome gentleman who is an amazing businessman, an investor, an entrepreneur, a philanthropist, and this person is quite awesome when it comes to his Instagram channel, specifically with his motivational speeches, with all the tips that he shares. So let's stay tuned for that. I'm just going to go change and then we're going to get back in my ride and continue with Ride with Hami. We are right now with Com Mirza.
What's up, guys?
Welcome, man. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
You're welcome.
So, just to give you a bit of an introduction, like I told earlier, an entrepreneur who's seen failures, seen success, and also started his first business when he was 7 years old. So that's something that really connected with me. So how did that happen?
I wanted a Nintendo Game Boy, which you kids probably don't know what that even is these days, with your PS4s and 5s. And I wanted a Game Boy. I asked my mother for it. I have 5 brothers, 1 sister, so fairly big family.
Mashallah. Okay.
And my mom said we can't afford it.
Wow.
And so I said, okay, lend me $20, and I'll go out and I'll sell lemonade on the street corner, and I'll make my own money, and then I'll buy it myself.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So apart from that, if I have to start from when you first, you said you were born in Pakistan?
Yeah.
Born in Pakistan and then you moved to Canada. So how did your journey go in through, and how did you know what you really want to do in life?
So I was born in Pakistan. I left when I was 2. I moved to US.
Okay.
And then I moved to Canada after that. So I'm pretty much raised, educated in Canada.
Okay.
When I was 7 and I was told, no, you can't afford this, we can't afford this, that was my first experience with, okay, I need money in life.
Of course.
To be able to do some of the things that I want.
Yeah.
And then, how do I go about getting money? And obviously, business was selling things. Business was the only route I had at that time, obviously. Either that or work for someone else.
Yeah.
And I've never worked for anyone else in my whole life, so.
Wow.
So,
at all?
At all. I've
Wow.
never had a job in my life.
Okay.
I worked in a family business, which was a pizza store when I was a teenager, but
Wow.
besides that, no, I've never had a job for anyone else. I've always been an entrepreneur.
That's amazing.
I knew at 7, most people, they figure out their dream or their purpose much later in life, maybe college, university, maybe even their 30s, 40s, 50s, and I knew at 7 that I wanted to be a businessman for the rest of my life. I don't look like Shah Rukh Khan, I can't sing, dance, and act.
I see you working out, right?
Like the other day, I train, yeah. So I knew business was my calling.
Wow, that's amazing. So, if at all you have to say, what were the failures that you've seen in life?
So I have a really interesting journey.
Okay.
I dropped out of high school to pursue my dream of being an entrepreneur, a successful entrepreneur.
Amazing.
And I failed in my first 7 companies back to back to back to back to back.
Wow.
So most entrepreneurs, they fail once or twice, they give up and they go get a job. I failed 7 times back to back. On the 8th time, I borrowed money from everybody I knew. And in 6 months, I proceeded to go bankrupt. So not only was it my 8th failure, but I owed every single person on the planet money, including family, including, relatives, friends, pretty much everybody. And I was in the worst financial position in my life, as well as, mentally, morally, spiritually. I was broke in all areas, pretty much.
Wow.
So failure, if you ask me about failure now, and what does it mean, and what context do we give it, and I think that's the most important thing, is that human beings learn through failure, and I learned the most through failure. I made millions in many companies, and it didn't make me a stronger, better, faster entrepreneur. It just made me a financially more successful one, but as a human being, to improve as a person in my mindset, my thought process, my belief system, my skills, my abilities, my capabilities to apply things, execute things, failure taught me everything.
Wow.
Failure was the best, hands down, best teacher that I ever could have asked for, and I think failure, back then I used to give it a negative context. I'm a failure. you know, I'm never gonna make it. You know, this is again I'm failing. You know, now I owe this person. Now I owe that person. And back then I used to look at it in a very negative way, and today I don't. I look at it in a very positive context. You know, if I want to become a bigger success, that means I have to have more accumulated failures under my belt, because you only need to be right once in business.
Exactly.
You know, and you can be wrong 1,000 times, but it doesn't make a single difference. When you're right once, and that makes up for everything. So the more failures you have, you're actually closer to success than further away from success. But most people think it's the opposite. You know, the more failures I have, the further away from success I am. It's because that's what's taught in schools. You know, that's what's taught in our society and culture and things like that.
Exactly. What was your first successful business?
Software business for a used car dealership.
For you? Okay, for a car dealership.
Yeah, used car dealers.
Okay.
So the big guys like Toyota, Ford, GM, they have brilliant systems and processes.
Okay.
But back where I grew up, used cars, obviously more people bought used cars than the new cars, and the used car dealerships were like family operations. You know?
Yes.
It's one guy owns 3 of them, another family owns a bunch, and very close-knit society, very competitive. They didn't have any systems and software. They used to do everything manually by hand, and so we created a software to sell to them, to manage their systems, to manage their cars, to manage their inventory, to track their sales, to do basically like a full CRM system for used car dealerships. And that business, I got rejected 6 times trying to get my first sale.
Okay.
And I didn't give up. You know, eventually I got my first sale, and then I got a lot of sales after that. I brought the business up to $30,000-$40,000 a month, paid off all my debts.
Wow.
You know, it was my comeback. You know,
that's amazing. That's amazing.
As an entrepreneur, you always look up to, admire, respect, and learn from other entrepreneurs out there who are doing things that you align with.
Yes.
You know, value-wise, culture-wise, spiritually, all these things like that. And I used to love Bill Gates. You know, at that time I was like, he's the richest guy in the world, you know, and he's also one of the greatest philanthropists in the world. You know, he is, back then his fortune peaked at 101 billion, and he gave away 35 billion to the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, which was his own foundation.
Yes. And
then, you know, eradicated polio, created vaccines, just literally fought the injustice and inequity in the world, you know, through the mindset that he had, and I just fell in love with the guy. I thought he was an absolute genius, so I studied everything he did. I wanted to know if he put his underwear on in the morning first, or he checked his phone, or he went on Microsoft, or whatever his routine was.
Amazing.
And I became very obsessive, and the more I studied his business, it was software.
Wow.
You know, he was creating it at a time where everybody was creating hardware, and so I said, even if I fail miserably, but I, you know, succeed a little bit in software, it's a very profitable business. You know, there's no shipping, no distribution. You download it right away, virtual. You know, cost of reproduction is nothing. You know, and do the work once, get paid forever, essentially. So I fell in love with the business. You know, and that was the reason I wanted to become a software entrepreneur.
That's amazing. So from software, you got into real estate, cars, and then you moved on. And talking about philanthropists, you do quite a lot of stuff for the people, right? You love to give back.
I absolutely love to give back.
And right now, so I've been hustling for the past 2 days between Sharjah and Dubai, trying to get some stuff out to the people in Kerala because of the flood. And we're going to go there right now, and maybe trying to just offload all the stuff that I have right now, given to me by my friends, of course, and some of the people in Sharjah who couldn't really come to Dubai. So we're going to do that. And after that, we're going to get back to exactly what you do right now, and why are you also known as the Habibi man? Because that's really important, right? I like that whole logo, the H. It looks nice. My name is Hami, by the way. If you have any t-shirt, I would love to take some. I'm just sending you.
I don't know if I have one that fits you, but I'm an XL, but I think you're triple X.
No, I'm triple X, man. I'm triple X. But anyway, so we're gonna do that right now. We're gonna go to this place and drop off some stuff, and then we're gonna get back to the interview. So so stay tuned. Okay guys, we're back. It was really hot in there. We had to pack a lot of stuff. Com got really busy looking around. He started helping around. He's fasting, but he still managed to, you know, do his bit. So yeah, so it's really important to help out. But talking about that, Com, what have you really, I mean, I know most of the stuff you've told me, and I've also read about it, but how have you helped the society? How have you helped the people who are less fortunate?
So I have two philosophies on this. One is, you know, people say you teach a man to fish, and he can feed himself for life. You know, what happens, you know, in that teaching process, you know, and if you really break that teaching process down, you teach them skills which takes time.
Yeah.
They have to apply those skills which takes time.
Exactly.
They have to get results from applying those skills which takes revision, time, trial and error, back and forth. And so it's not so simple to just teach a man how to fish and then he's set for life and he's going to be feeding himself. You know, that philosophy, I think, is a long-term approach. You know, a short-term approach is you feed him a fish.
Yes.
You know, it's as simple as that. He's starving. If you feed him a fish, he can think, he can eat, he can focus on, you know, maybe even learning and working and educating himself. And so I believe the philosophy should be around 20% long-term, which is teaching a man to fish, and then 80% short-term, which is immediate needs. And so we have a large large-scale food aid program that we do every single year. I started it 8 years ago, 2010.
Wow.
First year we fed 25,000 meals. Last year we were featured in Forbes Middle East released an article covering it. I raised $1 million online.
Wow. And
then I funded several $1 million out of my own pocket as well, and we fed 31.8 million meals in 35 days. Yeah, it was amazing, absolutely amazing. I can't take any credit. Huge amount of volunteers, huge amount of ground teams, a lot of people help and do their part. But you know, if we didn't do that, those people who rely on that food, you know, especially during the time of Ramadan, we did it during Ramadan.
Amazing.
You know, it's like they don't have many other alternatives. You know, and every year it's been growing and growing, because when you give it to them one year, next year they become like dependent almost. You know, they expect it. You know, they start calling you in your office and your charity a year, you know, a month before, 2 months before. What's going on? You know, are we getting it this year? And it becomes a big responsibility upon us, you know, to continue to sustain it and to grow it and to be able to keep it going year on year on year and manage the growth, you know. And so alhamdulillah, I've been very lucky. The volunteers keep growing, the teams keep growing, and it's people like yourself. It's the youth, it's these young people, you know, who actually are getting out there, rolling up their sleeves and doing the work. The old people are just watching, you know. The young people are doing the work, you know, which is amazing. You know, they're the change the world needs.
I think I completely agree with you. So how can people really help you out or contribute to your initiative?
So last year we did an online campaign. So the last 3 years we've been doing an online crowdfunding campaign, and I give out things like, I have a luxury car rental company here in Dubai. We rent Ferraris, Lamborghinis, and so I give a Ferrari free for a day for people who donate. Like I give Lamborghinis free for a day, Rolls Royces, things like that, and then like that contributes some money to obviously towards it. I do mentoring. I help mentor entrepreneurs. I have other entrepreneur friends who are successful. They contribute things in terms of perks and prizes, and all in all, it ends up raising, you know, some decent money. Last year I think was our biggest year. We raised 1.168 million, you know, US dollars, and that was also in like 3 weeks, 4 weeks.
That's amazing.
So online is the easiest. We use GoFundMe, we use LaunchGood, and a couple of other crowdfunding platforms online. And then I have a lot of private donors. And a lot of people who contribute just every year. You know, they use it as zakat, you know, and things like that, and they contribute every year. So it helps. And that covers like 15% of it.
So you basically put this up on your social media platform whenever you're doing these
I post links out. I have a fairly large audience.
Of course.
I have probably about 1 million people combined, and then a lot of people contribute. You know, we give them a chance to share in the good deeds.
That's amazing. So whoever wants to really help out or contribute in the smallest way, the biggest way, as much as possible, Com Mirza, all across social media. This is the first time I've actually heard this kind of a philosophy of taking care of immediate needs, because people like Gary Vee and all these other guys, right, they all are brilliant at motivational speaking, mentoring people, giving them leadership skills, stuff like that. But something like you said, immediate needs need to be taken care of. This is something that I've really heard, and thank you so much for sharing that. But apart from that, what would be your message for the audience today?
To the people listening out there, one of the fastest ways to grow your mindset so that you can start thinking those thoughts that allow you to earn more income and expect a higher return from receiving things in this world and in contributing things to this world from the value that you give. Work on your thought process. This is a very simple process I've been doing for the last 13 years. Is just write down your goals. Write down your goals once a day. I write mine 5 times a day. I cycle them sometimes if I have low energy or spirit. I write them out for like an hour. I just keep writing my goals, and this it anchors my mind on who I am in this world, what my purpose is, what my destiny is, what I'm trying to do, where I am in this vast universe of confusion, and it allows me to really center myself and then just focus on the present day. You don't have to worry about the enormous pressure from your parents and from your peers and from people like that on what you're going to become and how fast you have to do it. You just have to focus on the present moment, the present day, and do your best. Real world experience trumps academic and textbook experience any day of the week. So if you can, get some mentors, learn from some mentors. It will change your life.
I completely agree with you. I mean, just for the record, I've done over 50 deep water drives. So
amazing.
If at all you want to run
I got my certificate as well. I got my certificate, my patties.
So how do you really manage family and work at the same time?
I get asked this question almost every day of my life from everybody, and so I'm married. I've been married since 2012, so 6 years. I have 3 kids.
Wow, mashallah.
I just had my recent kid. My daughter was born 6-7 months ago.
Oh wow, mashallah.
My wife spends time, so I have homes in Canada, US, UK, and here. And so she spends her time a little bit with her parents, a little bit with my parents, and then here with me and stuff. My kids are still young. They're not in school yet, so I can get away with this. But, the best advice I could give you, when you're chasing a dream, you're trying to achieve great goals, you're trying to achieve your potential and realize your potential, it takes tremendous sacrifice. It takes tremendous sacrifice, and not everybody will understand you. And not everybody will understand why you're trying to do it, what your reason is behind it and things like that. And so the best advice I can give you is improve upon your communication skills. A lot of problems occur because there's a lack of communication that just doesn't happen. And if you just communicate, if you make an effort, even if they may not be happy, and it may not solve all your problems, but the fact that you're communicating means people get a chance to say things, get it off their chest, they don't bottle it up, and it doesn't lead to bigger problems. So when I first got married, I sat my wife down, I said, this is who I am, this is who I'm going to be, this is what you're marrying, this is the package that comes with it. My dream is important to me just as you are, and I may be not around for times. You may have to share me with the world. You may have to share me with causes and charitable things. You may have to share me tremendously with my business. There's 2 marriages, and you're coming in second from the business side of things. And obviously she didn't like it, but she accepted it, and she respected the fact that I said this up front. I didn't say, oh, I'm going to be there all the time. I love you. I'm going to spoil you, and life's great, and do the complete opposite, And so I was very transparent up front, and I think this is the thing, and sometimes I'm away from them for months at a time. My kids, my wife, I miss them. I make an effort to speak to them online every day, videos, Facebook. I stay in communication. I think this is the biggest thing. Even if it's 5 minutes, it's 10 minutes, you're sending a text message, you're making a 1-minute recorded audio message or video. As long as you make the effort, it makes a world of a difference in your relationships, and people understand and they support you more. But when you're neglectful, when you're like, yeah, I'm busy, don't you understand why I'm doing all this? It's for you, and you give excuses.
My wife is so good at kill me today.
You give excuses, it eventually takes a toll on people. They're human, and at the end of the day, especially females, they're emotional creatures, and they're more emotional than men, so you have to make an effort, and that's it. And at the end of the day, if you're making an effort, don't beat yourself up about it. If they're not super happy, you're making your effort. Be content, you're making the effort, and eventually they'll understand why you're doing it all.
Exactly. Towards the end of this video, I don't know how many husbands are going to get screwed today. But also, second thing, do not quit your job just like that. You really need to work on a lot of stuff. Get in one with your mind, with your thought, with the whole process, like Com said. And I really respect that. Thank you so much, Com. We're actually just getting very close to your office. I had actually taken more time than what I promised, Com, and I hope that's fine. But towards the end of it, I just want you guys to know that if at all you really want somebody to look up to, especially when it comes to entrepreneurship, when it comes to some really good advice, Com's your man. Mashallah, he has, of course, a bigger audience. But the whole idea of this particular show is all about being able to get people to meet some people, understand what this story is all about, and learn from it, right? Most important, always make sure that you're following a mentor, either if you're directly with them or not with them. But before we close this, can you please introduce MKB? Because MKB's been sitting there and filming us.
So you know how Gary Vee has this guy called D-Rock?
Yes.
And D-Rock follows him around everywhere, and he films content for him. He's like his content genius. Who's the guy who makes Gary Vee what you see on the social platform. So MKB, he's our D-Rock. You know, he's from Kerala, and he works with me here in my office here in Dubai. And he's the substitute D-Rock these days, and he's been helping us out. So he's recording as well, just as you guys are seeing the other cameras. So we got 2 camera angles going at the same time.
That's amazing. Thank you so much, guys, for watching. MKB, thank you so much for recording us. Com Mirza, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
I appreciate it.
So guys, till then, next time, do like, share, comment, and subscribe. And see you guys for the next one. Cheerio.